Welcome everybody, my name is Wendy and you are watching Wendy Makes Art. I can't see anything on my screen, so I'm going to try to remain in frame and we're just going to wing this. If you lose me, this is my third attempt. Our internet is just acting up like crazy tonight, so I don't know what's going on. But thank you guys for tuning in and sticking with me. We're going to try to get this fourth little mini kit that I got in my holiday stocking put together, and then we're going to see how many paintings we can paint. So I thought I'd start by showing you last week, and it's up on my YouTube channel, Wendy Alm Fine Art. You can see past episodes, and we went through with Sennelier colors, and I took this fabulous little painting notebook that my daughter got me and left in my Christmas stocking, and narrowed it down. It took me almost an hour to swatch and pick just 12 colors. And they're teeny tiny little things. I've done 2 paintings so far, and I'll keep going to see how much I can get out of this. I have a feeling that I can probably do about 8 to 10 3x3 little paintings in the sketchbook that is with it. So tonight we are going to skip all the rigmarole that I did last week. It was never ever ending color testing, which is pretty funny. And we're gonna just jump right to filling the pans on this one and using the colors that I picked. So I went ahead and took a look at what I had in core watercolors, and then I marked with little O's here what I was doing, and we're gonna fill this one. I thought it only had 6, but bonus, it has 8, which I'm super duper excited about. So we're gonna go ahead and just open this guy up. I need vegetable glycerin. This will help keep it soft. The binding in these, I'm not sure how much they'll crack. I have no idea. My other palette, which is a bigger palette, let's take a look at this. I'm sure I used vegetable glycerin in these. And this palette here, there's some little cracking in the middle, but I've been into these enough that it's not too bad. Okay, so filling this guy up, and we're gonna use these fabulous colors. I've got some napkins and my handy dandy color mixing toothpicks. So on that note, I think what I'm gonna do is start with yellow. Let's arrange them. I'm gonna do the nickel azo yellow, and then probably the yellow ochre. And then I think we should go into the reds and the magenta. So Pyro red, I have hardly any. I'm hoping I have enough to get in here, and then I might have to order some. And then burnt sienna. I really wanted this quinacridone gold deep, but I am out, so I don't have enough. Burnt sienna, and then we're gonna put ultramarine blue and this is phthalo blue, ultramarine blue beside it, because these two work really well together. And then I'll put phthalo and the turquoise. So that's the order we're going to lay these out in. And you know what, since I go right to left, let's do left to right. Oh no, I forgot water. Ruh-roh. Well, we don't need it just yet. So, but we do need to squeeze as much of this stuff out as I can. So I'm going to take my tube wringer and kind of push it all to the top. And start to squeeze this out. And I'm excited about this because there's like 4 times as much space in each of these as the palette we did last week. So we'll kind of just take a look at how well this works. And then let's mix. It's very sticky. I'm going to put the lid back on. And this again is called a tube ringer. They make these in plastic and metal. I have had this since I was in college, and it has wrung out many, 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 many tubes. It doesn't matter the medium. Okay, so we have a dot of the glycerin, and now I'm going to stir it up. Kind of try to make sure I get it in all the corners. It will dry, like it drops down and dries lower than how it is right now. So if I were to try to put this lid over it right now, it'll smear it, but once it dries, we'll be okay. And here, let's just use this first sheet, and we're gonna make what will be swatches. So we'll put these right on here. Okay, there's that one. Now, this one is Phthalo Blue Green shade. And it's much easier with a full tube or a fuller tube. Do that. Just like the other one, I'm going to do one dot. Now, I could use the other side of one of these toothpicks, but I'm a messy kid, and I guarantee that it will end up all over me. Like, all over me. So I'm just pushing it into those corners and then getting the excess off of this by sticking that on my watercolor sheet. And we'll do a little swatch in a little bit. I'm going to put my ultramarine blue. I did not put the ultramarine blue down low on the lower side because I didn't want to get confused about them. I will know that it belongs or what it is just because of where it is. Like a colder blue, and because it's with the burnt sienna, which it plays really well with, I'll be more inclined to know when I grab it with my brush that it is ultramarine blue. Now, I think I got some glycerin on there. I don't know. I can't tell. Who knows? I'm trying not to make too much of a mess, like overspill, but it is overspilling. So we're going to put that up there. And now, burnt sienna. Your natural earth colors will crack, so this will tend to want to crack quite a bit. So I'm going to put 2 drops in here. Try to help keep some of that cracking from happening. I can't prevent it all, but that might help a little bit. Of course, mixing it in without getting the blue in there is going to be a chore because it just a little bit much in here. I don't want to get the ultramarine in it. Makes gorgeous colors, but I'd prefer to mix them when I'm ready to mix them versus mixing them when I'm filling the palette. I think I might have still gotten some in there. Okay, this is my color that is almost out, Pyrrole Red Light. So we're going to take this guy and, oh, I need more toothpicks. Luckily, I've got some. And a little at a time, I'm just going to get it out of every nook and cranny in here. And then what I do is in my main book, when I run out of a color, I'll make a sticky note and I'll put it in here, and that way I know I'm out. We may get like half of a thing of this. That's one way to use all your paint. Because I'm trying to get every drop I can out of this little tube. That may be it. So we'll kind of put that on there. Set this one to the side since I know I don't have enough. Can't even get the lid on it. Oh, and I need this still because I want to soften it up a little bit. So it looks like it's full, but I know it's only half full. Versus my burnt sienna is like way over full. But that's okay. Okay. 3 more. Guys, I can't even see a chat, so I hope that if you are chatting, just hang in there. Lebowski, feel free to chat with everybody. I cannot see anything, and that could be what's going on with my computer tonight. I'm afraid to hit I'm even afraid to hit refresh. If I lose you guys, you know what? I'm not going to hit it. We're just going to like let that go. I'm too chicken. Not going to hit refresh chat. So like right now, I see no chat. I just have a black screen in front of me. But we're going to do this anyway. I have been so excited about this palette in particular because I loved that the paint wells had more, it could hold more. Because if ideally these are for travel. So, and I have a lot of trips coming up. So really trying to get my materials compact and then seeing how much I can do with them. Whether it's just fun little sketching on the airplane or, you know, taking in a purse on a walk. Okay, this is Nickel Azo Yellow, and it's a really unique color. I usually use a lemon yellow. It's a little warmer, but it's got such a crazy variation. It can go from almost a brown to a lemony yellow. It is like the whole range. So I thought, since it's not my normal go-to color, that I would put this in the palette. So I'm kind of excited about it. And then of course I love my earth colors, so we've got to have yellow ochre. And 1 drop of stuff. And we're going to mix it in. And I'm hoping you guys can see everything I have on screen, since I think you can still see this. I'm hoping that you can. And now I'm going to run and get water. Okay, water ta-da! We're gonna need some drawing tools and just a simple brush to swatch. So let's start by swatching these colors and see what we've got. I can probably go to about the halfway point on each of these. So this is my yellow ochre. Trying to clean my brush out without getting my water too nasty. This is, check this out. So look at that. This is the nickel azo yellow. And notice how it's not as warm as the yellow ochre up here, but when I do a thin wash, so I pulled some of it off so you can see. Do you see how it goes really bright yellow? It's like sunshine. That's what I think of with that color. It's a little warmer than a lemon, but gives me a good range. This is a great true red, and it is the Peril. I probably say it wrong. No matter what, everybody who knows how to say it, go ahead and get your chuckles in, because until I gotta look that up. You know, like sometimes you can find a place where they'll sound it out for you. That's what I need. Okay, look at this one. This one is quinacridone magenta. And look at the range in that. Crazy, crazy bright pink. Beautiful mixing color. Beautiful color for flowers. Just a gorgeous color. So love that. This is ultramarine blue. I'm just dissolving them. If you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm trying to dissolve the dry color so I can get a nice variation, so I can see the range from dark to light. Okay, burnt sienna. Oh, so pretty. So very pretty. And look at that, from the lights to a darker. And I can even get it a little. And that's great to mix with. We can make it darker. This is phthalo blue green shade. Look how gorgeous. Staining color, but nice cold color. Just beautiful. Makes me think of winter. And then this I love to have in all my palettes. Sometimes it's called cobalt turquoise. Yep, light. This one is called cobalt teal. And these are all made by Core, Q-O-R, and that is a watercolor made by Golden Paint Company. Beautiful watercolors. Okay, there's that. Now we are going to see how many paintings we can pull off in the next 37 minutes. Because part of this is just, let's just see what we can do. So I've got some reference stuff behind me, and I'm going to kind of go through them. And I think what I'll do is just pull these off so that they're not in the way. There is our reference sheet for colors. And we're just going to paint one or two bushes for this first one. And I think I'll use, those who know me well know I love to use a watercolor pencil. So kind of want to see how it paints on this. It's more like a hot press than a cold press. These came from Temu, just so you all know where they came from. It's a pretty smooth surface. There's not really any kind of grabbiness to it. So I'm just gonna pick a bush come in here and draw my little bush. And then of course there's this one, which I want to move it closer, so we're just going to move it like up in here. And then there's some really fun stuff down this way. And we'll just kind of have a hint of more going off in the distance. Now we're just moving color around, guys, so we're gonna have fun, paint some color, add a little, I think I'm gonna add some yellow ochre right in the middle here. Oh, and let's bring out our, when I last had this out, you guys all thought I was injured. So I'm just gonna sit it beside us and we'll try that. So I'm gonna start and just kind of add some of this light color in here from where it's really light on top. And I've got a little bit of that right there. Same with, I don't need a lot of color. And it might be, and for all I know, you guys might have chatted about this, but since I can't see pretty much anything on chat, I wouldn't know if you chatted about it. So if I put a white in this big mixing area, then I could have a little bit of a, just a nice area to, or nice white to make things opaque if I wanted to. Now I'm going to take the ultramarine blue, because I went on and on about this, and I'm just going to go ahead and add it on here to get some of this paint off the brush and use it. But what I'm going to do is mix in the burnt sienna so you guys can kind of see how this burnt sienna plays with ultramarine. So we're going to go in here, and I need some more. And I want you to be able to see how nice and neutral grays I can get by mixing the two of those. I can make it a little warmer so we can transition it towards the top of this. And then I may even lift a little more off right in here. It's just an even softer transition to the top. Now I can take more of the blue, a little more of that. These two colors alone, if all you painted with was ultramarine blue and burnt sienna, you can make beautiful, beautiful colors. Now I wanted to go a little more green, but still be neutral, grayish. So I switched to the yellow ochre, and I'm gonna put this in this shadow area right in here. It's like a little area. And that seems still a little too dark. So I'll pull a little bit of it out. I'll wash my brush and kind of just soften that edge right there for the transition. And now I'm going to go back in and make a nice neutral, the browns and the blues. I might make it even lighter. So I'm going to pick some of this yellow ochre in here. And I'm just going to paint this background a nice neutral color. Now we'll add more onto that, but for now we're just gonna kind of start with that. I do like that these are bigger pans for me to work with than the other set. And I can just drop these in and let some of it travel. Maybe this goes around here, and then down in here I've got another recessed area. Got some darker areas in this bush, and a nice darker area over here. And now I'm going to lean it a little bluer. A little bluer still. A little more water so it's washier. There's a technical term for all of you. So that it's washier. Okay, now I can lay some more kind of streaky things back here on this back area. Let's get some yellow ochre. Now I can use this surface as a palette as well. So just coming in here and adding some more color. Out. It's really abstract. It just basically looks like a bush bowling ball. We're going to call it the bush bowling ball. Oh yeah, that's great. And a little more darkness back in here. The back. Behind my bush bowling ball. So funny. Okay. Close enough for just like a little play painting. Oh, a couple more. Just one in here. This is odd. Okay. There we go. Still tons of paint. Look at that. I mean, I barely scratched the surface. So we're going to tear this one off and set it over here. So look at that. Now we've got this and this. Now let's go into this book and see what we've got. I put some fun stuff in here. And this one has a little bit of color. So we're going to reference this guy. I don't know how much you guys can see. So this is what we're going to paint. And I think what we'll do is just kind of a pretty sunset wash. So I'm going to wipe this off right here. I'll leave what I've got going on in that. And I'm going to go into this nickel azo yellow and kind of see what we can get as far as like just a general sunsetty wash. And then I'm going to take just a little tiny bit, because a little will go a long way, and start mixing this pink in there. So I'm just kind of bringing this in. We're starting with the background before we do anything. So I'm just kind of throwing a background in here. And then a little bit of ultramarine blue. Actually, I might have to switch to turquoise. Might need turquoise instead. In this in-between land. Yeah, it'll just be cleaner. And then I'm going to bring the ultramarine blue in. Just lightly in the top, right there. Okay? And we'll go ahead and throw a little bit of a purpley mountain back there. I'm going to mix my yellows to make it a little bit of neutral. So coming in here. Gonna throw that in there. And then below that, it's probably not quite dark enough. I think that, a little more of that. Tiny bit of yellow ochre just to kind of earth it down a little bit. And I'll come back in here with that. And I don't want a hard line, so I'm gonna dab a little bit just so it kind of bleeds out a little. It's the only way I can think to explain it. So now I'm gonna take that nickel azo yellow and some, that makes it way too bright. So if I take the complement red, I can calm that green right down. You can also use brown. So I can go in here with either red or brown. Red. That's too much red. Now I've got brown. Let's try a little bit of ultramarine. And that's a really nice dark color. And we're gonna kind of neutralize it down a little bit. And let's see what we got. Not quite right yet. So let's kind of put these background trees in. They're in shadow. It's getting nice and dark at that tree line. This is a little dark, so I may lift some of it. and make a lighter green. Like that. And we'll just pull some of this into it. Guys, I wish I could see chit chat or something, but I've got a whole lot of nothing. Then I'm going to put the field right below that. Just kind of let it drip right into there. Okay, now we are going to paint this great tree. So I'm going to get a pointy brush. This is my Jackson's Raven, I believe is what it is, quill. 10/0, and we're just going to paint a big old tree in here. So I want a nice dark color. I can leave what I have in here and just add brown and ultramarine blue, or sorry, burnt ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. And it makes this great brown color. This is still wet, so it may bleed, but we're gonna see what we can do. So I'm gonna start with this low little branch. Actually, I should start with the trunk. Be right in here. And I'm just gonna bring it in here. Say, okay, this trunk is gonna be maybe that thick. And there's a branch that comes over here to this trunk area. And I'm just looking at the lines and the shapes in between. So I'm looking to see, where do these lines and shapes go? Oh, look, it's going to dip down into here. There's going to be a lighter, almost purpley branch area in here. So I can kind of, it needs to be much thinner. Pull some of these colors in here, let them touch this branch. They come over on this side. Now I can't see everything that happens because there's another tree back there, but I'm just going to assume that there's just this tree. Now this branch comes up and I'm looking at all these shapes that it makes. Look, there's this big old shape right here. I can put more color into it as we go. And this stuff, and then this guy starts to connect over here. And if you do a branch that's like just not quite right or off just a hair, just go with it, because just no one's gonna know. It's better than you trying to fix something and then make it really awkward. Now I think that my trunk needs to be a little bigger down here, so I'm gonna just thicken that trunk up right there. Bring this one down in, because it comes all the way down to here. And if I'm not careful, I'm going to get really lost in my own painting. So I'm just trying to find where these branches go. Even if it's not perfect, I'm okay with it. There's a whole set that comes down here. So these little tiny things in here. This has a bunch of shape in it. So all the way through here. This has lots of shapes that come up and break that top line, which I really like to do. And again, trying to find where all this stuff is. There's some interesting masses over here, so I can come in here and make these bigger shapes. Little sky holes peeking through. Now this is kind of a fast painting, so we're not going for perfection. I'm just kind of trying to see what all we can get done in some quick little painting sessions. I'm gonna put some darker kind of shadow areas back in there. I also like that even though I don't know what's happening or if it's another tree or what, but I like the weight of this shape on this right hand side. So I'm going to go ahead and add it just because I like how it sits back in this corner. We don't need to know what it is. I can add some darker colors back in the base of those far trees. Okay, fun, right? Fun little, just quick and fun and kind of nice. Okay, next we've got, oh, do we want to do another tree? Or I think in our last one, we probably only have time for one more. I think we should paint a cow. So we're going to paint a cow. I love cows. I'm just going to sit this under here so you guys can kind of see him. And again, I have no idea if you're able to see everything I have on screen? I kind of just laid them up here, and I'm hoping that you can see it all. But we've got some different examples, and now we're going to go on to the next page and see what we can do. All right. So I'm going to paint a cow. Let's switch things up and, ooh, I don't know, maybe we just kind of go for it and pretend like, do we do it without drawing? I don't know. I think we kind of should draw him. And I'm going to draw him in pencil. Let's see how pencil handles on this material. Okay. So I do like that. Here's his long. I'm going to make sure he fits. So the first thing I want to do is scale him so that he mostly fits on this page. So I'm looking at his big shapes, right? He's got this great angle right in here, in his back. I love the tail. Where I have him right now, he's gonna be off the page, so we're just too far. So I'm gonna move him just a little. And kind of just show an idea of where he's gonna be. There's his belly. I do like that he'll be, his legs should be off. Of course, maybe his head's gonna be off too at this rate. Yep, too much. Okay, this is good. We'll test and see how much this can take. Let's start with his head. Okay, so we erased again. Back to the pencil. And we're going to have his head over here. And whatever part of him we end up with. But we're just going to get him drawn. So I know I've got neck. And just know, guys, I draw big. I can't help myself. I got to work on drawing little tiny things. Now I'm starting to look at where things are. So I see that if I go from his ear straight across, he's got this fabulous saggy neck pouch. And I can look at the shapes in between that. Where does his foot fall? There is a leg that comes down in here. And there's a bunch of grass and stuff, so we can't really see what's going on, but gives us the idea. And he's got some spots. We're just gonna paint what we want. There's his saggy thing. This front leg comes in here. And then there's that strong front leg. And it will actually go off the page. And wow, I really did make him huge, but that's okay. It's a tiny painting in a tiny book. So clean up a little bit. And now let's add paint. So we're gonna start simple with, I just think, let's make some greenish washes. So I'm gonna take the Nicolazo yellow, some of this turquoise, and see what we can get. Let's kind of calm it down a little bit. Nope, not right yet. Oh, it's pretty green. So let's see what kind of grassiness we can get. It's not quite there. Let's add a little bit of this blue. I like that better. All right, so we know we've got a bunch of grass. In here. We're just going to kind of show where the cow is. Surround his head and face with grass. And there's like dirt. So a little bit of dirt is going to mix in with that. And we'll come back to that when we're done with that. I want a little bit, I see like a little bit of, I don't know, I'm going to take ochre. Oh, I made a mess. And I'm going to take just a little bit of the red. And then I want to neutralize it. So I'm just even going to put some of this green in there. Mix it just like a little brown. And I'm just putting a little bit of this color in my cow. Here and there on his head. Now, this brings up a really good point. Did you see the big mess I've made? Because I'm dipping into these. If you make one of these, I would strongly recommend let it sit overnight before you paint with it. Because you're going to end up making a mess like I have. I have contaminated my colors. I have a mess. Now, I do not have a black, so I've got to mix as close as I can possibly get, which is going to be more of, I mixed the ultramarine and the burnt sienna. It makes a great dark color, and as you can see, looks pretty black, right? I mean, that's amazing. That being said, I do like to sometimes have black on a palette because I will not have, most of the time, I will not have a green on my palette. I mix my greens. I don't know why. I always have. I just feel like I can do so much more by mixing them. And rarely will I paint with a color just from a tube. I just mix. I can't help it. So I'm just kind of painting this pattern that my cow has on him. Kind of. Of course, it's not matching at all. But here we go. Mix a little more black. He's so cute. I'm guessing somebody chatted because it's dinging, but just so you all know, I can't see any of the chat. So since we're at the end, as soon as we get a little bit further where I'm almost done, I'm going to try to refresh chat to see if that brings it back. I don't think it will, but okay, he's got shadows under here. He's got this great shadow under his belly over here. And on this pouchy thing, the top of this leg is in shadow, so it's going to be a little more like this. And there's some stuff on here. Bring a little more into that. even needs to be a little lighter than that. Stuff on these legs. Now I'm going to go back to this pink, this peachy pink, and kind of fill in some of this brown earth color that's in here. Not quite that. And we're going to start bringing some darker green. So let's make a shadowy kind of green. So he's got some great shadowy dark greens in here. Then I think I need something in between those two. Let's see what we get with this. Not quite as dark. Water helps to kind of value that down. And some of these back in here. I'm not going to go nuts. We are out of time. But this cow is in it. He is having a good time. Okay. So 4 little mini paintings, tons of paint left. Recommend if you do one of these that you let it dry before you go after it, because I made a big mess. So now I gotta clean my mess up, which, yuck. And maybe I'll make a puddle of not messy paint. It's not too bad. I've got the turquoise is a little contaminated, but not too bad. The magenta is a disaster. So I think if I just kind of pull some of that out of there, and I think my ultramarine blue and burnt sienna are pretty contaminated with each other, but that's okay. I see a little bit of red in there. So that's it, guys. I am sorry I wasn't able to chat with you all. Or even see anything on the screen. I hope that I kept it pretty well in frame for you. Again, these little kits came in my stocking magically from my daughter for Christmas. I know that she bought them on Temu. This is a 12 color set. They have this little slidey magnet thing. You fill them up with whatever paints you want, and I'll have to just keep painting to see how many we can get out of it. At this point, I'm wondering if maybe this set would get me through the entire, I think there's like 40 some sheets of these 3x3, because we've done 4 and barely touched the surface of what we have in paint. So fun little thing for sticking your bag, your to-go, sit on the plane. You can take a water brush instead of a regular brush, and just make sure that you're out there practicing and having fun. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you on Friday. Bye, y'all.